Yeah, so till this point in time we were doing very basic programming. So same can be done on C programming also. When you talk about C programming, that is not an object oriented programming. So what is an object oriented programming? In object oriented programming, everything that you will be using as an object. For example, now we have very classical example of C Sharp .NET we have, right? Where everything is an entity and each entity is a class, right? So in earlier days of programming, we use everything as procedural oriented, right? So we will create methods and we will call one method from another. We have a main method. Inside that I will call another methods. Like that we get used to do every operation through a method. So while you are designing an application, what you basically do is you will split the main application into methods or actions, and for each action will create one method, and we'll get done all your operation by writing methods or functions. So later on what people come to know that has a lot of limitation. So the software companies, or they came up with object oriented concept. So what they're saying is, in the real world everything is an object, right? So if I have a mobile, that means first of all what the manufacturers do, they will make a design of this phone, then they will produce hundreds and thousands of same model, right? From one class they are making object. So anything and everything in the real world is an object. So a procedural oriented language is no more enough. So we will create object oriented language. So in object oriented language, everything is a class and object. So I don't want to go in depth on that one. So when you define a class, you define a blueprint for a data type. So in first of all, when you design, you will make a data type. You will make a blueprint first, right? Just like account. Then you will create records out of it or object out of it. So a class doesn't actually define any data, but it does define what the class name means, right? So once you make the schema, then you will make objects out of it. And objects are nothing but instances of a class. So what an object of a class consists of and what operation can be performed on the object. So within the class we will mention what the elements of a object, okay? It will be like attributes and then methods. So we will see that one. So how we will define a class? So a class definition start with a keyword class followed by class name, and the class body enclosed by the pair of curly braces. So we will see that here we have a small program. So this is the structure of a class. Here mentioned as access specifier. That means it will be private or public. Then we'll mention the class keyword. This is a keyword, and class name we mention. Then we'll mention class member variables. That means the variables, that is integer or character variable we'll mention, or any other type. Then we'll mention methods. So this will be a class contains a list of variables and a list of methods. So variables are basically used to keep the values, and methods are basically used to do the operation on these variables. So in the next slide we are showing an example class line. Okay, so if you can see it, this is the name of the class. So what a line is a an object, right, in real world. So in order to represent the length of that line, I have mentioned one variable. So that variable is of type double. So it can contain a float point, float number as the length. Length can be a decimal number, right? Decimal or float number. So then I have three methods: public, line, double. So what it's doing is it is nothing but the constructor. I will tell you what the constructor is later on. So this is a method. So what it's basically doing is it is setting a value. Length is a variable, right? To that variable I am setting a value. So using this method, by calling this method, I can set a value to the length of the line. Then this is another method, public void set length. Here also I am setting the value, a double value I am setting on this one. Then here one more method, public double get length. So using this method I can read the length of the line. So this is a class example. So here are variables, and then we have methods. So now if you look at the previous program, this is a class, right? This is a class program, or we can say that the main class. So this is a main class. Why? Because inside this I have the main method. Yeah. So a program can have any number of classes. So why this is called the main class is because inside that I have the main method. So the main method is the place from where the program execution starts. So now I have one class, right? It's like this. Inside this namespace, I can write one more class line. I can write one more class. Inside that I can mention the variables int length. Then I can write the methods also public void get length. Yeah. So this is called main method because contains a main method. Then these are the other classes. Like this I can write any number of classes within a namespace. Yeah. So this is the structure of a class. So in object-oriented programming languages, we do everything based on a class. We'll make a structure class. For example, if you want to do some operation on a line, you'll make a class named line. Inside that, you'll mention the variables, which is, for example, a line have variables such as length, breadth, height. Sorry, this will not have height, right? Thickness. Like this, I can mention. So then, if you want to find out the what do you call a line will have what area or something, so we can make a method void find area. So inside that I can mention double length, double breadth. So then I can mention double area is equal to length into breadth. Yeah. So next time, if in your program, if you want to find the length of a area of a line, what you need to do, you just need to call this method of this class. So line dot find area means, if I mention like this, line dot find area means you can call this method. Yeah. So first you make classes like this for the structure, and later on you will call this methods and everything from other classes or programs. That's how programs work. So classes will have variables and object. So now let's see an example of a class here. Yeah, here is an example of a class. So this is about a application known as box application. So here we have a class box. It has three variables: double length, double breadth, and double height. So this is about box. Then I got another class known as box texture. So this is the main class here because it contains the main method. So now I'm making an object of it. So here I have the class. Once the class is there, then I can make an object of it. So we talk about data types earlier, right? So if I'm making a line like this, or I will go here. If I'm making a variable like int length, what basically CRM do is, sorry, not CRM, Visual Studio do is, it will create a variable, or it will reserve a memory cell, few memory cells in the memory of type int. Yeah, because int is already system knows. So when I'm writing a line like this, what the system understands is box1 is equal to new box. So box is already a type that we created, custom type we created. Now if I'm writing box1 is equal to new box, mean CRM will what do you call, allocate some spaces. I mean understand what is the space required, and it will allocate some spaces in the memory. So here for example it is double, right? Three double variables it has. So one double variable would be equal to 8 cells, 8 bytes. 8 bytes equal to 8 into 8. 64 cells in the memory it will allocate for this length variable. Same goes for this one because double needs 8 bytes in the memory. Same goes for breadth, same goes for height. So 64 plus 64 plus 64, how much will be 124, sorry 128 plus 64. It will be 120, 132 plus 60. 192 it will be, right? Yeah, 192 memory cell it will be reserved for this entire class. Now, when I am writing like this is a custom type. Box equal to, in the memory, your operating system will allocate 192 cells. Now I'm creating one more box 2 is equal to new box, right? So declare box 2 of type 2. So this is a custom type. Box is my custom type. Double, integer, long, everything is of standard types. Now what I'm doing is I'm setting values. Box1 dot height, that means this one. So once I create an object of a class, so this box1 is an object of class. After that I can set value. Box1 dot height, box1 dot length is equal to 6, box1 dot breadth. Yeah. Same way, box 2 also I can setting the value. Box 2 dot height, box 2 dot length and breadth. Now I'm calculating the volume. Volume is equal to box 1 dot height into box 1 dot length into box 1 dot breadth. So that is the volume of the first object, first box. Then second one I'm doing the same thing. Yeah. So I'm displaying that one. So this is the program we have. So we will just execute this one. So instead of all our program, I'm going to mention this one. Volume of box 1 is equal to 220, volume of box 2 is equal to 150. So here I have set everything manually, right? Or hard coded. Instead of that, I can read this from the console like we have done. Console. From console I can read all this one. Then I can calculate it. And also I can do one more thing. So here we are not using the entire feature of object-oriented programming. What I can do is, instead of I am writing like this, right? I will copy paste from here and I will do it here. What I'm doing is I will add one method here, public void volume, or I'll mention calculate volume length breadth height. Yeah. Okay. So if I'm doing it right inside here, because these are the local variables, right? So inside this class, or this length, breadth, height, everything is local variables. So I don't need to use this box. I can directly use the variables, height into length into breadth. Yeah. And also I will mention one more variable like this. I will give some initial value to it, to volume. Now here I will calculate the volume. Volume is equal to length into breadth into height. Oops, it got deleted. Yeah. Cool. So now what I can do is, instead of I am doing the operation over here, what I can do is, not to calculate the volume, I can just call that method. What I can do is box1, that is object name, dot calculate volume. Here I need to pass the value of these three variables. Yeah. Box1 dot length, box1 dot breadth, and box1 dot height. Done. So once I give the values like this, this will call you this method from the here to do the operation, and it will give the result here. Yeah. So if I'm instead of calling this one, right, I can do the same thing again. I can do it in many ways. For example, now I'm calling this one, right? So this method will be called, oops, this method will be called to calculate the volume and it will execute it. So now I don't need this line also. I can comment this one. So if I want to do this for box 2 also, I simply need some another line of code. I don't need to do the calculation again. Instead of box 1, what I need to do is box 2 dot calculate volume, because both box 1 and box 2 are the object of the same class, right? So I just need to call the method again. Only thing that I need to change the values here. Yeah. So we are reusing the same method rather than you are doing the calculation again and again. I'm calling it. So imagine I'm making 20 boxes from the same class and I need to see the volume. So as per the earlier model, I need to write this 2 lines 20 times. But instead of now, what you need to do is you just need to execute it. You just need to write 2 lines because we are utilizing the same method. So in that way, we are utilizing the same memory also. So resources will be lesser. So now I'll execute it. So it will do the same operation. Yeah. Hope it is clear. So just to explain this one, we got one namespace and 2 classes. So this is the main class, which is known as class box. Inside that we mention the variables double length, double breadth and double height in order to store the length, breadth and height of the box. Then you mention one variable known as volume in order to keep the value of the volume. Then we mention one method. So to that method we will pass the values of length, breadth and height, so that that method will calculate the volume from that variables. So that's the main method. So in the namespace again I create one more class which is known as box tester. So instead that I have the main method. So I have created 2 objects of the same class box, yeah, 2 types. Then I assign the values to box 1 dot height, length and breadth. Same way I assign the values to box 2 also. After that I call the method calculate volume from box 1 with the box 1 values, and same method I called again with box 2 values, box 2 length, breadth and height. So I got the values. So this is how you will develop a class. I hope it is clear now. Okay, so in object-oriented programming language, classes are the base. Once you understand classes, so anything and everything you will be mentioning based on that one. So I need to talk about a few concepts now, object-oriented concepts. Class and objects are the main concept. First one is known as encapsulation. So once we have classes and object, then encapsulation is possible. What this means is, encapsulation is the process of enclosing one or more item within a physical or logical package. So in an encapsulation, object program methodology prevents access to implementation details. So that we have already done here. Okay, I will tell you that. So here you have method mention some variable public. You would have noticed it, right? So same way we have other access specifier also. We call it as access specifiers. So once I mention as private, in that case I cannot read it from outside. So now we could read these values, right? The length, breadth and height I could read outside of this class. These are belong to class box. I read them outside of this class. Here I read it, right, within the other class. Why? Because I mentioned these variables as public. If I mention these variables as private, then I couldn't read from outside. So that is, we are talking about encapsulation. We can encapsulate all the variables and methods of a class within itself using the access specifiers. So we got multiple access specifiers. Here we have mentioned that. So encapsulation is implemented by using access specifiers. So an access specifier defines the scope and the visibility of a class member. Class member means variables and methods. So C# support the following access specifiers such as public, private, protected, internal and protected internal. So public mean it can, these values which are mentioned as public can be called from anywhere, right? Private means they will be available only within that same class. That means if I mention it as private, right, I cannot access it here. Here I am, see, it is showing error. Why? Because box application dot box dot length is inaccessible due to its protection level. So this variable length, if I'm mentioning as private, I can do operation only here. Here is not showing an error because within the same class it is available private. So once I mention is private, that is private to the class where it is mentioned. Public means that will be available in any class in the same program. See here, wherever is length is mentioned, so all error because it is not accessible in another class. Then protected. So protected also something similar. What is protected means? I'll talk about that. What is protected means? It will available within the same class, so no error here, right? For breadth, no error here. But it will show error here. Yeah, it will show error. Why? Because what is protected means it will available in the same class. Also, it is available in the child class. Now, to understand this one, I need to talk about inheritance. Okay, inheritance means once we have one class, you can define another class as a child of it. Okay, we will talk about that. So a variable or a method which is mentioned as protected will be available on the same class as well as its child class. So this class is not a child class, this is another class. So I'll mention a child class here. So once I mention like that, it will be available in the parent class and child class. That's about protected. Then we call internal. So internal also similar to private. Then we have protected internal. So that is used for a abstract class, very specific use. That also it is like it is very equivalent to private, but it will be available in the child class as well. Protected means it will be mainly used for inheritance, parent and child classes. Then we have methods. We already talked about it. A method is a group of statements that together perform a task. Yeah. So these were the main entity in procedure-oriented languages. Now we are talking about object-oriented languages. Their classes are more important, and classes contains variables and methods. So this is how you will define a method. You will mention the access specifier, that is public or private or protected. You will mention return type, what this method will return. Then the method name, and then you will mention the parameter list. Parameters are nothing but the input we pass to the method. Then whatever logic you write inside this two curly braces. Then calling method, this also we have seen. You just need to mention the name of the function and call it. For example, here I am calling this method calculate sum, passing three values, basic, HRA and TA. So that this method will calculate the total salary of an employee, and that will assign to this total variable. Okay, so I think we need to talk about inheritance now. Okay, so inheritance allow us to define a class in terms of another class, which make it easy to create and maintain an application. Yeah, so also provides an opportunity to reuse the code functionality and speeds up the implementation time. So the existing class is known as base class or parent class, and the new class referred is known as derived class. So this is how you will define it. This is a main class, your parent class, and this is a child class. Class name, then colon, base class. You will see it an example. So here itself. So imagine class box is the parent class. So if I need to make a child class, what I need to do is I will write another class small box colon I mentioned class. So what is the advantage of creating a child class or inheritance we call it? This logic is known as inheritance. What all things you have mentioned here, the three variables, four variables and a method, right? All this will be available here also. So you don't need to define it one more time, right? Or I can mention this one as packaging box. So box is a generic thing, and I am creating a child class known as packaging box. So this packaging box will have access to all these variables. Just like I'm saying, if I need to say volumes equal to, you can see length. These are private methods, that's why protected. Volumes equal to length. 1 second, double. No, it's not throwing here. Okay, so basically child classes are used to use all the functionality that is implemented inside your parent class. So you don't need to write that again. So I will show you one more thing. A parent can have multiple childs. Now I mention package, matchbox. That is also box, right? Okay, so I will make this class as public. Now these two are two different types of boxes. So what are the generic things that comes to a box? Any box will have a length, breadth and height, right? That will come here. So if I need to find the volume of a matchbox, what I need to do, I don't need to write the class again. I can just use like what all methods and variables mentioned here in the parent class. Okay, so that is the advantage of creating child classes. Now you mentioned protected variable, right? Why? Because the protected variable will be accessible within the class as well as in the child class. So in order to do the coding for dynamic CRM, you don't need to know all the object-oriented concept. Main thing you need to understand is classes and objects, how to create object, and also interfaces. So that we will see now. Okay. So two more things I need to mention. One is arrays. So like I mentioned, we whenever we mention a variable, int a is equal to 10 means what is the type of data type of the variable. Here it is int, right? So what it will do is it will allocate 4 memory cells or 4 byte. That means 4 into 8, 32 memory cell it will allocate for that particular integer variable. If it is a double variable, double means it will be 8 byte. That means 8 into 8, 64 memory cell it will allocate. Like that it is. So now what is array? Array is nothing but a array of the memory cells. So here the size shows here. So as per definition, an array stores a fixed size sequential collection of elements of the same type. So an array is used to store a collection of data. So here you can see. This is how you will mention an array with this square bracket. So now you know int means 4 byte, right? So now int this square bracket number is equal to new int of square bracket, right? So here I need to mention some value. I mentioned 10. Here I need to mention 10. So what it means is the system will generate an array for integer. So each integer occupies 4 byte, right? So 4 into 10, 40 memory cells the system will allocate for this variable known as numbers. So number 1 will go here, number 2 will go here, 4, 3, 4, 5. So it will start from 0. Okay, 0 to 9. So number of 0 means the first number, number of 1 means second number. So this is how you will set values. So here I am giving an example. Int the square bracket marks. So marks is a variable. Is equal to new int of 5. So it is making 5 integer variables and I am allocating the variable here 99, 98, 20, 92, 97, 95. So as the image shows here, it will allocate 5 memory blocks of 4 byte each because each of it is needs integer, right? So if it was a character needs only 1 byte to store. And if I'm mentioning character here, so what the system will do, it will allocate 4 blocks of memory. Each block contains one cell or 1 byte. That means 8 bits. But integer needs more space. Okay. So now this 99 will be including numbers of 0 or marks of 0 for that matter. 99 will be including numbers of 1. 92 will be stored in numbers of 2. 97 will be stored in numbers of 3 and so on and so forth like that. Okay. So I'm not going to do any practice on that one. Just to show how arrays are used. So strings we have. So strings are the same thing. Strings are also arrays, but strings are an array of characters. So in C# we can use strings as an array of characters. So however, more common practice is to use a string keyword to declare a string variable. So what it means is, if you want to store character here, right? Normally arrays will use for numbers. Okay, so if you want to store separate characters in a memory cell, so what you will do, you will use a standard character array which is known as strings. So if you mention string first name, means the system will allocate some memory cells for you for storing characters, first name, last name. So here you can see an example. I have mentioned first name, last name. First name is equal to Rowan semicolon, last name is equal to Atkinson. Then I am mentioning another string, full name is equal to first name plus last name. So that what the system will do is, system will allocate or store these 5 characters in this array, first name, like here you have mentioned, right? Will mention in one cell, 1 byte, it will store 1 character each, ROWAN. Same way it is creating another string and will store the value ATKINSON, like this. So now it can do a lot of operation. That's the advantage of having a string. Now I can do any operation. I can simply use a plus symbol here in order to concatenate these two strings. So what is the result of here will be like the entire 5 plus 7 characters. 12 characters will be stored in full name. That is full name is equal to Rowan Atkinson. So if I print the string console.write-ln full name, it will write this entire name. So that is known as strings, nothing but an array of characters. So we talk about uh, inheritance, and one more concept to go, that is about polymorphism. So polymorphism word mean having many forms. So in object-oriented programming, polymorphism is often expressed as one interface, multiple functions. So you need to understand the concept of interface to understand this. Okay, so we have write a class which can have child classes to do the operation. Same way, we will use a concept known as interface. So interface is similar to classes. I will show you that. Interface is similar to class structure. Only thing that they will just have a declaration. These are known as a declaration. These are not used anywhere. But this is known as a definition. Yeah? So what interfaces will do is, interfaces will have only declaration. It will not have this part. This is not a definition. It will only have this declaration. Now another class can use that interface just like this. They can use that interface and provide the implementation or provide the definition. So that also will use while you develop plugins. So that's why we are talking about it. Okay. So that's about polymorphism. So how will you write a interface is, I'll show you. I'll mention interface, class interface. Only that keyword interface we are using. Now inside that I can do like this, integer a, or maybe I can say length, breadth and height, same operation I'm doing, and calculate public void calculate volume, length, breadth, int length, int breadth, int height. Okay, so this is known as an interface. We won't provide an implementation, only mention like this. After that, we will mention some classes. That classes will use this one. That classes will use this one like this. For example, class interface. Yeah. So now inside this class, so now this class is using this interface. So now inside this class, I need to provide this implementation for it like this, for this class, sorry, this method. I can mention the variables and I can provide the implementation like this. This is an implementation. So we will just use the structure of the interface. So interface is nothing but a structure similar to a class, and after that we will write classes. That classes will use this interface, and this classes also will provide the implementation to the method of the interface. So interface will have multiple methods that we will utilize, we will implement. So interfaces, for now, you just to understand, it is nothing but a schema that you will utilize. Okay. So here it is talking about interfaces. An interface is defined as a syntactical contract that all the classes inheriting the interface should follow. So the interface defines what part of the syntactical contract, and the deriving class define how. So interface will give a template where we'll just give the method initialization, but the classes which is utilizing that interface will provide the definition for that method. So interface define properties, methods, events, which are the members of the interface. Interface contain only the declaration of the method. It is the responsibility of the deriving classes to define the methods. Yeah, so this is how you will define an interface. So in Visual Studio, we got many interfaces, and that interfaces we'll use. So even while we are developing plugin for CRM, what we'll do is it will got an interface known as I plugin. So mostly the names of the interface will be identified by an I in front of it. I transaction, I plugin, I workflow. So while you are developing plugin as well as custom workflow activities, we will use certain interfaces. One is I plugin execution context, another one is I workflow execution context. So it will give you some methods. That method within our plugin or custom workflow activity will implement. Yeah, so that we will use while we are writing classes. Okay, so this is for today, and so we have explained the concept of classes and object. That is very important, how to write classes and how to create object out of it. Then we talk about encapsulation, that is achieved with the help of access specifiers such as private, public, protected, etc. Then we talk about methods, that is a member of a classes, how to define method, how to call the method. We talk about arrays and strings. Then we also talk about inheritance, how we can use inheritance, base classes and child classes. We'll talk about polymorphism. So, then we talk about interfaces. Interfaces are a template that we'll use. So let me see if I can do an example of interface. Okay, here we have one. Okay, so here we have a interface and we have a class. So two classes we have and an interface. So let's look at the interface first. Public interface is the keyword to create a interface, and transaction, that's the name of interface, and these are the members of interface. Void, show transaction, double, get amount. So both these are methods. So these are just the method declaration without any body of the method. Yeah. So now we have public class. So this public class colon I transaction. That means this class transaction is going to implement these two methods. That is its meaning. Okay. Now the transaction has variables, multiple variables. Now just look at this method, transaction. This is the same method we have here, a shows transaction. Yeah. So now it is setting the variables here, these three variables that you have read. Now we have method known as transaction. It is taking three variables, string C, D and A, and it is allocating that variables to this allocating that values to these three variables, T code, date and amount. Then we have another method known as get amount, that is simply doing returning the amount value. What is the value in this amount variable? Okay, so basically here we have the amount method, right, for the interface. For that method, this class, transaction class, is giving an implementation. Here it is giving the implementation. Now this is the second method of your interface, show transaction. So in show transaction, basically you're writing three lines. The values of T code, values of date, and values of get amount, it is writing here. So basically these two methods were defined here, or sorry, declared here within the interface, and the class is providing to the definition to it or implementation to it. Now we have a third method which is running this main method. So I'm creating two object T1 of transaction class, right? This class below above it. Transaction T is equal to new transaction. I'm sending three values, variables for these values: T code, date, and T amount. So what this basically do is, yeah, I want to talk about constructor. So each class can have some methods known as constructors. What it will do is, whenever an object is created, it will set the values or it will be called. So now if you check here, the class transaction and the method transaction has the same name, right? So that is known as a constructor. Constructor methods are dot method. They will get triggered or called whenever an object of the class is created. So here you got two constructor methods. This is not taking any parameter. This one is taking parameter. So basically constructor methods are used to set the variables of a class whenever an object is created. Now here I am creating a object T1. I'm passing some values, right? So what this will do is, the system will call this method, first set null values, then the system will call this method when the object is created. It will get that value C, D, and will get that values you pass here. Okay, these three values will be passed here, and T code, date, and amount will get that values. Okay, after that, when you run the show transaction, it will create that values. Then you are creating another object, passing some values, different values. That time also this method will set that values to the object values of here. Okay, after that you are calling this method T1.show transaction and T2.show transaction. So this method will be called twice and that will display the values. Okay, so now one thing you need to remember is this show transaction method, right? That is actually declared here, but the class transaction is providing the implementation. So that's the use of interface. So same thing we'll use. The C# or .NET Framework contains a method known as iPlugin execution conduct that contains a lot of declarations and methods. So now our plugin will be another class that will call this interface and implement all these methods. So that's about. So I just need to run this one. So that's what it's basically do. This is the first transaction, date, amount. Second transaction, date and amount. Simply passing it. This will be called, first object will be created. So values will be set here. Right. Then second object will be created. So same values will be set here. Then I'm calling to what T1.show transaction, that is this method. So it will show the value of T code, date, then get amount. So get amount is calling another method. Yeah. Instead that I'm getting the amount value. Again T2.show transaction, it will call this transaction method again, display all the values, and it will display. So that's what it is doing when you're doing it. It will set the values and it is executing twice. This is one and this is twice. So this is an example of interface. Okay,